Generally speaking, how does right livelihood apply to children? I don't mean should they get jobs. Well, some children are like 30 years old and still living at home with no jobs, right? So they should probably get jobs. Also, what are your thoughts on how youth sports don't align with Buddhist principles? When it comes to children, I think one of the good things about, in terms of right livelihood, in terms of the Noble Eightfold Path, and in terms of Buddhism in general, is I kind of understand, we kind of have this feeling that, children are children. Like we have this, just like we have this feeling that this is me, I am me. This is my child. It came out of my body, or I was part of creating this child. This is my child. And so, in doing so, we kind of develop lots of expectations for that child. We expect this child, I have my first boy. He's going to love sports just like I did. And then he grows up and he can't stand sports. That happened with me and my father, by the way. My father played baseball semi-professionally. I just never big into sports. And of course he kind of suffered for that because, that was his expectation. That, boys like sports. I like video games better. So, if I had a kid, I would be like, oh, come on, son, let's play video games. Nah, I'd rather go out and play baseball. Oh, man. So it's one of those things. So it's about, expectations. Really, what your job is, your job as a parent is to do the best that you can to teach the child skills of living a wise and skillful life. Right? That's really the job of a parent. I will say off the top of my head that I am not a parent, although the last 10 years before I came and became a monk, I lived and helped raise my nephew from the time he was 1 to the time he was 11 when I left. And so I was essentially the father figure. And I do understand, that led me to a lot of understanding of what parents go through. But obviously he's not my child. He's my nephew, but still, so I guess that also allowed me to be a little bit detached from it too, because he wasn't, I was able to not necessarily put my own expectations on him, just kind of teach him what it is to live in this world in a good way, to be a good person, to have the skills to thrive in the world. Youth sports. I don't see how sports. Sports are sports. I don't think it really has anything to do one way or the other with Buddhist principles per se. I think again it's all about intention, right? One of the things I loved. Obviously I played sports. I played years of baseball. I played even football in high school and stuff like that. I wasn't really into it, but I played it. But one of the things I actually loved about the sports was just the fun of going out and playing. Just the enjoyment of doing it, of working the body, and even working the mind a little bit. Now, if it turns into, oh, Johnny's on an away team now, and we have to practice this many hours a day, and we have to do this, and we have to do that, and it turns into this, oh, and Johnny's going to get a scholarship, and then I won't have to go to this horrible old folks home, and all these kind of things. If it turns into all of it, it's about the intention. If it turns into this big thing full of expectations, then it's not going to be helpful to the child. I saw the first time I experienced this thing, with my nephew and stuff. My sister's like, "Oh, he has a play date, or we have a schedule. We schedule to go and play at this." Wait, they're not in a league, but it's just people you're scheduling for them to go play somewhere. What happened to just going out in the neighborhood and playing, and all these kind of things, So it's it's interesting today how we are with kids, and. I think they deserve a little bit more freedom and a lot less expectations, really. That doesn't mean, obviously, we don't let them run wild. You still have to discipline them. That part of teaching them how to be a good citizen and a good person is disciplining them as well, and not being just their friend, but their parent. That's another thing I saw a lot of these days. I want my child to be my friend. I don't want to make them mad at me.